And we said, all right, let's go. Now we got to build this thing. So
Yeah.
we had not enough money to pull it off. We had no experience. We had, just a prototype. And we went ahead and we went for it. And we got this building here. Like I said before, they gave us this building with no personal guarantee, no credit check, no income no operating history in the business. And on the side, I started the Bitcoin business, and then all of a sudden it starts taking off. And then I put in my 2 weeks notice at the mattress factory and ran with that full speed. And my brother worked for me. He invested in the business, and we just started grinding away at it. And it was successful. And then so it was a Bitcoin exchange.
Okay. So right around COVID.
So yeah, I think that was the first show. And that was a funny experience. So pretty much everything that went wrong could have gone wrong, went wrong.
Yeah.
And that's how it's been the whole time.
Yeah.
But we managed to overcome. So like, for example, it's Vegas, right? It's sunny and warm, but it just so happened that the morning of the show, it snowed in Vegas. So it was very
No way.
cool. So we had built this prototype, which wasn't a finished house. It was just a box that would go to a job site and be finished. So
Right.
It didn't actually have a finished roof on it. So across the top of the roof was a script, the length of the unit, that had a little gap. And that was intentional by design.
Did you know there's a technology that's actually an app on your phone that uses sound waves to tell your brain what you want your brain to do? We had a young man that was on a guest on our podcast, the Mike Litton Experience, who had a traumatic brain injury. He was sleeping 3 hours a night. He's using NewCalm now, and he's sleeping more. Go to newcalm.com, Mike15 promo code. Newcalm.com, promo code Mike15 for an extra 15% off. Go today.
Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience podcast. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. Mike is passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
Galiano Tiramani, thank you so much for being our guest on the Mike Litton Experience. I'm super excited for our time together. And like we talked about before we hit record, everybody has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. So with your permission, we're going to start with where you were born, go all the way up to today. And then we want to talk about this amazing company that you've built and you're continuing to build called Boxabl. Thanks again for being here, bud.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for having me, and look forward to it. And as you said, we're here right now at Boxabl in Las Vegas, and this is the factory behind me where we are producing houses, and we're trying to scale up to a really big mass production of houses in an attempt to make housing affordable.
Yeah, it's really cool, dude. I love your mission. I just love it. I've been in real estate for 33 plus years, and I've been promoting home ownership even before that, right? So it's really, really cool what you guys are doing. So
Yeah.
where were you born?
Yeah, so I was actually born in New York City. My parents are both from the UK. They came over like a few years before I was born and became citizens. And then I grew up right next door to New York City, like 30 minutes away in Greenwich, Connecticut.
Oh, cool. What was your favorite thing about growing up in Greenwich?
The whole kind of nature and, stuff like that. It was really just a nice spot. It was kind of like lots of trees, kind of in the woods, in Connecticut, and then on the beach as well.
Yeah.
So next to the water was really good, and it's a nice area. Like it's a well off kind of upscale neighborhood. So just really really nice place to live. I probably won't go back there because I want to kind of keep adventuring around. But I live in Las Vegas now and love it here.
Yeah, Vegas is cool, man.
Yeah.
Especially when you're building a big company like you're doing, right? Where you need a lot of square footage.
Yeah. It worked out really well for us. We originally came here because of zero income tax.
Yeah.
And we thought, hey, let's move somewhere and save a little money. And then when we decided to do Boxabl, we said, where should we do Boxabl? And it just was it was a fit because we wanted to be next to California where housing is most expensive and there's most room to fix it, but we didn't want to be in California and subject to that kind of government. So then in city of North Las Vegas, which is right like next to Vegas, they have all these warehouse buildings. So the last mayor here basically after the downturn in like '08 said, Vegas was hit really hard because they have all the tourism, and that obviously stopped when people went bankrupt everywhere. So they said, how do we diversify? And so his idea was make it really easy for people to build warehouse buildings so we can get logistics and manufacturing in. So under his term, like millions and millions of square feet of these warehouse space sprung up. And then we were able to grab this building. So basically when we got started with the company, we had no track record, we had no money in the bank, we had nothing. And we were able to actually lease this huge building, and they gave us the building. A lot of times they wouldn't give you a building like that with no
Right.
track record, because
Sure.
it's a big financial commitment. And so we got the building and off to the races.
That's cool, dude. What a great story. So in Greenwich, did you go to high school there?
Yeah, I went to Greenwich High School. I public school, and then I did 1 year actually in a private boarding school in my freshman year of high school.
Yeah. So in high school, did you have a favorite subject?
I didn't really do well in school or attend classes at all. So didn't really have a favorite subject. Didn't like school and ended up going to business school for college. But barely made it through high school.
Gotcha. I gotcha. Did you play sports in high school?
Yeah, I did crew. So it was the rowing team because we were on the coast there on the
Sure.
water.
Yeah.
So for 3 years I was on the rowing team, and I've never been good at like sports with a ball, good at like, snowboarding and dirt bikes, and crew, you just sit there and you just row.
Mhm.
So that was what I did.
Yeah, there's some precision involved, right?
Maybe from the guy steering the boat.
So what was your
It's
favorite thing about
it's like 8 guys on a boat.
Yeah, I gotcha. I
Yeah.
gotcha. What was your favorite thing about rowing crew in high school?
It's kind of nice just to be out on the water and just zen out and get the exercise. So it was good. Had some friends. We all did it together and
Yeah,
just kind of hang out on the boat on the ocean.
that's
So it was
cool.
fun.
So you leave high school and you mentioned you went to college, you went to business school. Where'd you go?
Went to Sacred Heart University.
Okay. Why did
Yeah.
you choose that college?
Well, actually, you know what? That's not true. I went originally for 1 year to New Hampshire University.
Mhm.
The reason I went there was it was the only school that would accept me with my bad grades.
Oh,
And then, went, after that first year, went back to Sacred Heart University. It was just like the local college, in town. And it ended up just doing that part-time.
mhm.
It took me like 10 years to get the degree, actually. I just kind of did it part-time. It wasn't a big focus for me, and I didn't plan on getting a job that required a degree or anything. So I got
Right.
the business administration degree.
That's cool. That's cool. It doesn't matter how long it takes, right? Just as long as you get it done, right?
Yeah, I mean, frankly, if I had to go back, I probably wouldn't even do it because
Yeah.
the college degrees aren't really worth shit. It's fun, like for my kids, I'm going to tell them, look, if you want to go to college for the experience, to hang out, meet people, go move somewhere else other than where you grew up, that's a great reason to do it. But unless you're going to become a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer,
Yeah.
pretty much anything else, the education's not super valuable in my opinion.
I got you. Okay. Well, some people totally agree with you, right?
Oh, it's becoming more and more of a thing.
That's what I think. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing anyway.
What happened was the way the government subsidized the universities by guaranteeing the loans from young kids who otherwise wouldn't qualify for these big loans.
Yeah.
They basically pumped money into these school systems and just inflated the whole thing, inflated the
Yeah.
cost, diminished the value of it. So, I think that whole system needs to kind of be reset. I think they should just have an online university that would be very low cost to operate, and everyone should be allowed to do it for free. And I think that'd be a great way to go.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think they're headed there, with a lot of the online universities and stuff. It seems like that's where the model's going anyway.
Yeah, I've definitely heard some of the higher level politicians talk about potentially doing something like that, like what I described.
So growing up, who was the most influential person to you?
Just my dad. I work with him now. We founded this company together,
Oh,
and
cool.
yeah. And when I was a kid, my parents were divorced, and I kind of went back and forth between their houses. But I ended up, spending a lot of time with my dad, especially right after high school. And we actually started a few businesses together. And I spent a lot of time kind of hanging out at his office.
So what made you decide to get into business with your dad?
So this time around for Boxabl, I was just I had another business doing marijuana in up in Northern California, and
Mhm.
that business was doing really well. It was kind of on autopilot, and I was just looking for new projects.
Yeah.
And I remembered that my dad had this idea almost 20 years ago to take a house and fold it up so it can fit on a truck. And he
Mhm.
had that idea after he built a house, like the childhood house I grew up in. He
Mhm.
decided, hey, let me build a house here and sell it. So he did that. So he had that experience and learning curve of how to build, and he used modular housing, so factory built housing. And he just
Cool.
kind of experienced all the pain points and friction points with that and said, there's got to be a better way to do this. So he came up with the idea to fold the house. He filed the patent on it, which was his business back then. He would basically invent things and file patents and then end up selling or licensing the patents. But I said, instead of selling this patent, let's go ahead and see if we can make a business work around it. And
Yeah.
then he said, sure, go for it. So I just kind of set up a website, got it going, made some renders, started showing it to people. And then we got more and more traction to the point where I said, look, this is a big opportunity. I should go all in on it. And then my father had already moved to Vegas. And then I moved from California to Vegas to pursue Boxable full time.
Gotcha. So what was the first business that you did right out of college or right out of high school?
Um, so the big kind of success that I had back then was Bitcoin
Okay.
exchange.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got in very early in Bitcoin. Basically, the first thing I did was I set up some like kind of Bitcoin. My brother told me about Bitcoin. I didn't know about it, and this was like 2013.
Okay.
And so I set up these Bitcoin miners. I started learning about it, and then all of a sudden I came across these guys who were selling Bitcoin and making a profit. Because
Okay.
it's hard to buy Bitcoin, and especially back then it was hard. So there was opportunities to make it easy for people to buy.
Mhm.
So then I set up a business basically reselling Bitcoin. So every day people would come and send me money, and then I would send them Bitcoin, and then I would wire money back to one of these overseas exchanges and just keep, recycling it like that.
Mhm.
And pretty quickly that kind of blew up. And we were doing like 100,000 a day in transaction volume.
Wow.
And for me, I was like, damn, this is crazy. And actually, when I started that business, I was working minimum wage, taking the bus to work in a mattress factory, building mattresses, like
Mhm.
literally for like $8 an hour, like full minimum wage, um, like just kind of grueling work. And on the side, I started the Bitcoin business, and then all of a sudden it starts taking off. And then I put in my 2 weeks notice at the mattress factory and ran with that full speed. And my brother worked for me. He invested in the business, and we just started grinding away at it. And um, the it was successful. And then so it was a Bitcoin exchange. And then the other thing I did was I believed in Bitcoin so much and I loved it so much, mainly because it was kind of anti-government, and it
Mhm.
served as a way to kind of, undercut the powers of the government that are
Mhm.
based around their control of the money supply. And I just believed it. I loved in it. So I took every dollar I had and put it in Bitcoin. So all the profit from the business, I put
Mhm.
it in Bitcoin. I had, debt on my credit card. I paid my rent late because I was in Bitcoin. Well, not really late, just kidding. But you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I got you.
I was fully into it, and I held on to most of it or a lot of it to this day. And
Mhm.
that turned out to be obviously a really good decision. I bought in the cheapest one was at like $200 each when I was buying it back in the day. And
Wow.
now it's 90 grand. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that really kind of changed the course of my life, and allowed me to, be master of my own destiny, and
Yeah.
allowed me to fund other businesses. And pretty cool how that kind of changed things for me.
That's awesome, dude. So after that, after you started the Bitcoin thing, you mentioned that you got into other businesses. Talk about those for a second. What was what was the next one?
Yeah, so after that, I was living in Connecticut while I was doing that, and then at a certain point, I decided, hey, let me go on vacation to California. So I
Mhm.
went to California with a backpack, and I just never left.
Oh yeah.
I missed my return flight home, and I never came back. And I was like, this is awesome. I'm going to go explore new places. And at one point, I called up my friends, and I was like, go to my house, and you know, you know take my furniture, take whatever you want. I'm not coming back to get it. And um, then that was like maybe it was like 2015 around there.
Mhm.
And I started seeing people making a lot of money in marijuana, like a lot of money. And I was like, damn, maybe there's an angle here.
Mhm.
And it was kind of semi-legal. So they had the medical laws, but they didn't have the recreational laws.
Yeah.
There was no clear-cut guidance on how to operate a business. So it's pretty sketchy, but I dove right in. I set up a few like marijuana grow houses,
Mhm.
and then I ended up transitioning over to extraction, which is basically where you set up a big lab. It looks kind of like Breaking Bad with all the stainless steel and stuff. And then I was buying the waste products from the farms. So the farms would grow the weed plant, and then they cut off the buds, but all the
Yeah.
other leaves they would throw away. So I was buying that for pennies on the dollar and then putting it into this big extraction machine. And it was kind of like a learning process in like chemistry,
Yeah.
and doing labs and like really like crazy technical stuff, that they do in like college university chemistry labs.
Mhm.
So set that up. And the product we would make was the oil for like, like a vape pen
Yeah.
that you smoke weed out of. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically I was manufacturing the oil that goes into those pens.
Oh
And
wow.
pretty quickly that blew up as well, to the point where we were processing a lot. So we were
Yeah.
processing about 500 pounds of marijuana every day. Into
Wow.
Yeah, and I had this business doing that, and it grew really quickly, and it was a lot of fun. It was kind of like the Wild West. It was kind of like
Yeah.
semi outlaw stuff, and the money flying around was nuts. And before I knew it, I was kind of in over my head, and I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah. So it's also eco-friendly, it sounds like, because they would have just thrown that stuff away, right?
Yeah, I don't know
So you
about
were
that.
basically repurposing it?
Yeah, I mean, it would make their business a little more efficient because they'd get a little bit of money out of it for
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, that's the byproduct of the farming, that usually they just dump it off to the side and let it compost, but we
Right.
would get it and manufacture it into a product to sell.
Yeah, I didn't know you could do that. That's cool. Wow. Well, that's
Yeah,
a great business.
yeah, it was
So
cool.
so that blows up, right? And you're in Northern California, and at some point you have a conversation with your dad about Boxabl. Talk about that for a second.
It literally did blow up. One point the lab exploded and
Oh,
burned
geez. Oh
and
my
burned
goodness.
and burned.
I thought we were talking metaphorically.
No, it burned my body. It was crazy.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm
But I
sorry.
survived.
Wow. So you actually
Yeah.
got hurt.
Yeah, no, it was bad. But yeah, it was fun. So yeah, so then, I was just as usual, just looking around for opportunities, and
Yeah.
decided to take a shot at the house company. And so we went down that path, made the website, started showing it to people. I started investing my time and efforts into it. Eventually, before we had built anything, we just had drawings. We got
Mhm.
invited to go to the Builder Show in Las Vegas, which is a show where they show different housing products.
Mhm.
And, um, you know, they invited us to bring a house to the show. So I called my dad, and he had one other employee working for him at a time on a different car project that he has. And I said, should we commit to this? Can we pull it off? Can we
Mhm.
actually build one of these things? And we said, you know what, let's do it. So then we had like 6 months to go to show up at the show. And we went ahead and ran full speed and got all the engineering done, got all the sourcing done, figured out how to build it. And we showed up at that show with the first prototype and started getting feedback from, builders and developers, who might be interested in the product. And
Cool.
things grew from there.
So what was the feedback? What was the general feedback you received?
I mean, they loved it. They were super excited. They said, "How can we work with you?" And we said, "We don't know. You know, we haven't got far yet. We just, you know, kind of
We haven't figured that out yet.
yeah, yeah. So of course, you know, the idea behind modular construction is the way they build houses right now. It's very slow. It's very expensive. They're literally taking a bundle of lumber and a bunch of nails and a ladder, and they're getting up and they're building these things, you know, in a custom manner. So you can appreciate that building, you know, anything like that is not going to be efficient. Like, so imagine if you buy a car and instead of the car coming from the factory, some guys show up in your driveway with some welding torches and a can of spray paint and, you know, start banging together a car in your driveway. That's obviously going to take year, you know, long time, be very expensive, be very poor quality, but that's how houses are being built. And,
Yeah.
you know, that's the norm. So we think that if we provide a product to builders and developers where most of that hard work is done and it totally shortcuts their process, increases their visibility on their fixes, their costs, gives them higher quality, gives them a lower cost, that they would love to do it that way instead of doing it the regular way. And maybe they can turn over 4 projects a year instead of 1 project a year.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're trying to do now is we're trying to help builders, you know, the 90% of the market that builds with traditional construction. We're saying, hey, you should do it our way. It'll be better for your business.
Yeah.
And so, you know, got going with that.
Did you know there's an app that has no side effects that allows you to use sound waves to tell your brain what you want it to do? It's called newcalm.com and it's amazing. It literally uses sound waves. If you want to tell your brain to go to sleep, if you want to tell your brain to recover, if you want to tell your brain to put you in peak physical state, if you want to tell your brain to focus, if you want to tell your brain to take a power nap, you can do all of these things and more with newcalm.com. Go to newcalm.com today, promo code Mike15. Newcalm.com, promo code Mike15 for an extra 15% off. And it's also more efficient, right? Because literally you can manage tolerances, the whole thing, where when it's stick built and it's out in the field, not so much, right? Things aren't as square, let's be honest.
Yeah, the quality level is totally different. So we're using like a CNC cutter, for example.
Yeah.
So that's going to cut something precision to like, you know, 1 millimeter precision.
Yeah.
And you're going to end up with a better product. There's no way you can match that using a hand saw out in the field.
So how long ago, what year was that builder show?
We went in, I think it was 2020, maybe it was 20, I don't know, 20, maybe it was like around 2020.
Okay. So right around COVID.
So yeah, I think that was the first show. And you know, that was a funny experience. So pretty much everything that went wrong could have gone wrong, went wrong.
Yeah.
And that's how it's been the whole time.
Yeah.
But we managed to overcome. So like, for example, it's Vegas, right? It's sunny and warm, but it just so happened that the morning of the show, it snowed in Vegas. So it was very
No way.
cool. So we had built this prototype, which wasn't a finished house. It was just a box that would go to a job site and be finished. So
Right.
it didn't actually have a finished roof on it. So across the top of the roof was a strip, the length of the unit that had a little gap. And that was intentional by design. But so I show up at like 6 a.m. at the show and it's dumping water into the house. Snow on the roof. The sun is heating it up. It's melting. And literally, I have videos. The water is just pouring into the thing,
like
and
a waterfall kind of thing,
yeah,
right?
I'm on the roof with the shovel, shoveling the snow off, cleaning everything up. And by 9 a.m., all the snow was melted, and we had cleaned it all up, and it was fine. No one knew.
Oh wow, wow! There's
But I
nothing
remember
like that.
we had another meeting, which was this guy, really well off guy, who we wanted to invest in the company, and he flew in on his private jet. And I remember sitting there before we had it cleaned up, sitting there with him in the house, and water is literally dumping down around this guy's head. And I'm thinking,
gosh.
this guy must think we're idiots, you know, because we you know, created this waterfall in the house.
Right. Yeah, he didn't think that. He just, you know, you're trying to figure it all out, man.
Cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is so cool. What a great story. So you guys get set up at the builder show. It goes really, really well, right?
Yeah.
And then at some point you decide to get space, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So the reason for that was we did the show that year. Then we went back the next year and we decided the first year we came with like it was two 40-foot boxes that connected together to make a 1,400 square foot house.
Okay.
And then later that year we said, you know what, what's the product that we should start with? What type of house? And we said, let's go for the smaller house, which is the Casita product that we have now. So that's a 20-foot by 20-foot roughly studio kind of apartment, kitchen, bathroom, bed, couch, kind of like the smallest minimum viable product to get started with. And so at some point we said, you know, let's get started with this configuration of the boxes. And so the next year at the show, we debuted the prototype of that product, which you know, was well received. And then by then I was like we had the website, we had a little press, we had a little social media. And so we were getting interest. So I had a lot of people calling, asking about it. So basically every day, all day, from when I woke up to when I went to bed, I was on the phone, like constantly on the phone. Anyone that wanted to talk to me, any crazy whack job that wanted to talk to me, I was talking to them, searching for opportunities. And then one Saturday morning, I'm talking to a guy and he's like, yeah, I work at the government for the military. I'm going to order, you know, $10 million of these things. And I was like, all right, sure, buddy, whatever you say. And like everyone's promising me the world, you know, and no one's delivering. So I didn't believe him. And but you know, then a few months later he comes back and it turned out he was real. And he was with the Department of Defense. And then they came out and visited us and they ended up issuing us a contract for like 150 houses. So at that point I had 3 prototypes that I had built by hand, basically in a garage. And I had this order for, you know, $15 million. And we said, all right, let's go. Now we got to build this thing. So you know, we had not enough money to pull it off. We had no experience. We had, you know, just a prototype. And we went ahead and we went for it. And we got this building here. Like I said before, you know, they gave us this building with no personal guarantee, no credit check, no income, no operating history in the business. And we just got lucky that this landlord was willing to do the deal with us. And they gave us the building. And you know, we got the equipment in, we got the staff, we scaled up, we built and delivered that order in full. But it was kind of like that movie. I think it's called, what is it called? Let me search. I think it's called Mad Dogs or something.
Oh, War Dogs.
So War Dogs.
War Dogs, yeah.
War Dogs, they get these wacky guys get a multi-million-dollar contract to deliver bullets.
Yeah.
Just go out and make it happen. So it was kind of like us. Like we were just like a few guys with this crazy idea, and we get a big order and we just go out and do like every crazy thing possible to make it happen. And we managed to make it happen. And that's kind of been the story the whole time. You know, we're delivered with these crazy opportunities and, you know, not a lot of, you know, expertise and not a lot of experience, and, you know, somehow fight through all the adversity and figure out how to make it happen.
So how did the guy from the government find you?
I think he just did a Google search and came across it. So another big thing that happened is I figured out how to do internet marketing really well. And that's how we fueled the company. So the result of the internet marketing is we have hundreds of thousands of people that want to buy our product. We have over 40,000 investors. We've raised almost $200 million. We have millions of social media followers. So
good for you, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, early on, I was trying to get like VC investors to invest in us. I wasn't getting a good response. I was trying to get people to find out about the company. And I was like, all right, let me call the local news and do a story on it. And that didn't really result in anything. And then at one point, I'm like, you know what, let me try social media. So I emailed a bunch of people on YouTube who did housing stuff. And I said, hey, do you want to do a video on our company? And one girl said yes. And she had a channel about housing and like manufactured homes. And so she had a really, you know, targeted audience that would be interested in us. And we did that, you know, first video with her. And all of a sudden I just see results like email inquiries, phone calls, website traffic, all because of this social media. And I'm like, man, I'm onto something here. Let me go and keep chasing this. So I keep chasing, you know, social media views. I keep chasing influencers to do videos on us. And that has been how we've, you know, driven the whole machine. And now we have probably over 200 million video views. We have millions of social media followers. And it's like the one thing that's enabled us to do everything else. Without that social media, we would not be here right now.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it. It sounds like it. So you just finished, I think, a round of fundraising, crowdfunding. How did that turn out, or is it not done yet?
We have one live right now. We've been doing them, consistently since we started.
Yeah.
And basically, it's amazing because people who are interested in the company and want to join the ride with us, they get a way to jump in on board, and we get the chance to have these people funding what we're trying to do here. So until we're public, if we go public, which hopefully we will, we'll just keep raising money through crowdfunding on the website. But we have every day hundreds of thousands of dollars coming into the company through the crowdfunding. So I'd recommend anyone who has a business that the average Joe can understand and has a wide audience to do crowdfunding, because it allows you to kind of be in control of your own company. It allows you to have the resources you need. And then those investors, they're not just investors, they're strong advocates for you, they're customers, they're employees, they're everyone who you want on your team to be kind of cheering for you. So, that's the way we've gone about it, and it's paid off big time for us.
That's awesome, bud. So I saw a video you did like 6 days ago.
Yeah.
And you had a bunch of people that were signed on, that were on that video that you were doing, that presentation. And you were standing in front of a unit that I don't think you walked into, if I remember correctly, but it looked like it was 2 stories. Oh no, you did walk into it, but it was 2 stories. Talk about that for a second. Is that a new model that you guys are working on?
So, we started the company with Casita. So
Right.
that's the smaller unit, and that got our foot in the door, allowed us to learn the manufacturing, the sales process, all that. But the vision here is to fix, housing in general. So all residential structures. So we're calling that phase 2 of the company, where we're moving into bigger buildings, different configurations of boxes. So single family houses, apartment buildings, all that kind of stuff. That's the first prototype we built for a bigger townhouse, and a few other bigger boxes that we've built. So
How big
that's
is that?
the next step. I believe that's like 1,200 square feet. What we did there was we met with one of the big builders that's one of our investors, and we said, what's your most popular product? Let us engineer that as part of our system. And so we basically figured out what we think they would like, and that's what we built. And now we have a form on our website where bigger builders and developers can come in and say, hey, I want to do a project with you guys. So hopefully next thing that happens is we snag one of those customers, someone who wants to do, a 100-unit community or a 500-unit community, and then we can get started like turning on the production for those bigger units.
Gotcha. So you have that 2-story townhome that's 1,200 square feet. You can build bigger than that, right? I think you did that before on the first one that you did for the builder show. I think you said it was 1,400 square feet.
Yeah. So basically we have a system of boxes and room modules, and those
Yeah.
can stack and connect to build a whole different range of homes. You can customize the exterior to look however you want. And sky's the limit on this stuff that we can build.
Gotcha. So are all of the roofs flat?
So the product that we provide is not necessarily like a finished house. It's a
Okay.
component within a build. So we're getting a lot of the work done. So our product has, cladding, sheetrock, paint, electrical, plumbing, kitchen, bathroom, windows, doors, flooring, all that stuff. But you still have to go and put a foundation on site. You still have to bring utilities up. And then you still have to add a roof, because the roof's something that we can't really standardize in the factory, and it
Gotcha.
also doesn't fit in our shipping.
Okay.
So in different geographical areas, you might have a different roof style, roof pitch. So that's one of the things that's left up to the builder on site. And then yeah.
So I saw in the video where you did sort of a walkthrough of some of the units that were available outside of the factory.
Yep.
I think they're on site where you are.
Yep.
There was one that looked like it was a log cabin. It was kind of cool looking. There was another one that looked like it had a Santa Fe type design to it. And you called that cladding, is that correct?
Yeah. So what we're creating here is like, especially with Casita, is like
Uh-huh.
a standardized building box that's kind
Right.
of architecturally neutral. So the regular Casita is just like a square box with the white walls.
Right.
And then you take that product, and the installer, the contractor who does the install in the customer's backyard, would add anything they want to add. So whether
Right.
it's a different roof pitch or a different deck or different exterior cladding, maybe make it look like a log cabin, maybe make it look like something else. That's part of it. So those are all those units out front of our factory. Those are all the same Casita. They just have different cladding on each one to give it a different feel. And
Different
then
options. Yeah.
that's for Casita, which is really standardized, like model Ford, the
Mhm.
only color you get is black or whatever.
Mhm.
But for our bigger houses, our single family or apartments, there's even more customizability you can do, because you can add different boxes together, create different floor plans, um, on that product, because we're changing the way we're building. You can
Mhm.
actually change the exterior cladding in the factory. We can change other fittings and stuff in the factory as well, especially with the bigger orders. So if a bigger developer comes in and wants to order 100, it makes sense for us to do a little customization for them.
Yeah.
But with the Casita, where the customer's just ordering one, in most cases, the B2C, for that one, it's just a standardized product. This is all we make, take it or leave it. The idea is that our costs would be lower than anyone else. And of course, the way the house folds up is super important to mention, because that's kind of the key innovation that sets us apart. Because the reason houses are not built in a factory, the way every other product is built, is that they're just too big to fit on the road. So
Right.
you can't fit them on the road, you got to build them on location.
Right.
So our idea is our boxes are 20 feet wide, but they
Mhm.
fold up to highway legal size. So
Oh, okay.
they fold up, and that means now we can ship them without blowing up the budget. So a
Gotcha.
regular factory built house, they ship a wide load.
Mhm.
So it's kind of illegal size for the highways. So they have to get special permits. They need another car following the car with the load, the flag
Yeah.
car. And so that makes the shipping so expensive that they can't have a big factory, because then their factory, if they ship beyond like a 200-mile radius from the factory, it becomes cost prohibitive. So at that point, it's like, oh, it costs so much to ship, we might as well build it on site. So our big innovation is we've fixed the shipping so that we can, ship cost effectively, and therefore have a bigger factory that does mass production and ship to the whole country.
Great.
So, uh, our idea is that, like a car factory, like a Ford or a Tesla factory, is
Mhm.
putting out of their assembly line one car every minute. So
Wow.
with that high level of production, you get, the lowest cost possible. You get the bulk purchasing power. You get all these efficiencies. You can use automation. So we want to be able to do all that because we fixed the shipping problem.
Gotcha. So I've got another question for you. You mentioned in the walkthrough that you did that you're pardon me, that you're working with apartment builders. And some of these builders potentially could be ordering, like you just said, 100 units plus kind of thing. Is there a is there a height, in other words, the number of stories that you can go? Is there a maximum in terms of how far you can go up?
With our next generation product, we can pretty much match whatever traditional construction is doing.
Okay.
So like a regular apartment building, you're gonna go like 5, 7 stories. We should be
Right.
able to do that, no problem. And then even for like a skyscraper, we can do that too, because you would build like kind of a big superstructure. And then you would slot in
Fill
the
it
box.
in. Yeah.
Yeah, so we think we can pretty much build, most stuff.
That's cool. So versus regular construction, on-site construction, where you're talking about it's a bundle of wood and they're bringing their saws and their hammers. Versus that, how much money can you save a developer, like price per square foot, for instance?
It's kind of a complicated issue because each project is custom, but the idea is that we need to be the lowest cost way to build. And
Gotcha.
if we're not, then the company's not going to be successful. So if you look at our initial product, the Casita, and then you Google, I want to buy a backyard ADU in
Mhm.
California or something. If you look at the pricing on pretty much any competitor I've found, you're going to see that they're far more expensive,
Yeah.
like double.
Yeah.
And you know, uh, uh, for the bigger projects. I mean, there's other factors at play too. Like a big one is time.
Yeah.
So if you're going to build your house in 1 week versus 9 months, how much money is that saving you?
Exactly.
You have the finance costs associated with that, with carrying
Right.
out. And B, if a builder is able to do 2 projects or 4 projects instead of 1 because they're doing it faster, they can take a lower profit margin, but still make more money overall because they're doing more volume.
Yeah.
And so that contributes to it as well. And, we think we're going to come out really far ahead, because if you look at the principles of the way we're doing it, you have a standardized production, you have assembly line, it's extremely efficient. You can use technician labor instead of like a licensed plumber that might be $150 an hour or something.
Right.
You can use any guy that we get off the street, we train him. He does the same thing every day. So, the house comes to his station, he connects this pipe, connects this pipe. He goes to the next station, he connects this pipe, he connects this pipe. There's
Right.
no like thought or expertise that needs to go into that. Then we can implement automation and also bulk purchasing. So if we're buying 100,000 doors instead of 1,000 doors, we're going to get a better price. So when you look at all those principles, it should be a no-brainer that we have to come out ahead on cost.
Yeah.
And of course, there's a lot that needs to go into it to make that work and make that possible. And it's a very big operation with a very big overhead, but we just believe, those principles means that, we will win.
Gotcha. Okay. One last question for you, and I'll let you go because I know you've got to go pick your son up. So
Yeah.
one last question. What do you see tomorrow looking like for Boxabl?
Hopefully we continue to grind through the sales, ramping up the sales. Hopefully we continue to refine the product and the engineering and bring the cost down, design a better product. And then hopefully we move on to these bigger, better, bigger buildings, apartments, single family communities. And then basically go back out to the capital markets and say, all right, guys, so this scale of factory, even though this is a big operation, compared to what it needs to be to win, or compared to an automobile factory, it's still very, very small, kind of proof of concept. So we're going to go back out to the capital markets once, if we do all that, and say, all right, guys, look, we've proven out the basics. We've proven out we can make it work. Now give me $1 billion, and I'm going to go out and do real mass production and really slash the cost to the point where literally no one can build anything without seriously considering Boxabl and saying, why am I not using Boxabl for this?
Right.
It's a better solution for me. And then, if we do that, all world domination.
Kind of like what you're doing down the street, right? Where you have that demo, that RV park, where you have those units set up that you guys are finishing.
Yep, that's great. And that's just one of many projects so that the marketplace can see that,
Yeah.
we can make it work, start to finish. And, as we see more and more successful projects in the market, we think that will give customers more and more confidence to come in and take the risk of getting in bed with us and doing a project.
So I have a builder that is looking at getting 250 apartment units locally here approved. Would that be something that you'd be interested in bidding on?
Perfect. Absolutely. We'd love to have him come here into the factory and, check it out, see if it's something he thinks he should do, if he thinks it's a better solution. And we're definitely looking for use cases like that.
Yeah, I'll bring him with me. All right, buddy. It's great to meet you. Thank you so much for being our guest on the Mike Litton Experience.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you, buddy. Can I ask you a question? Did you know that there's a technology that uses sound waves that'll tell your brain what to do? There literally is. It's called newcalm.com. It can tell your brain to heal, tell your brain to sleep, tell your brain to do all kinds of things. It can get you fired up. It can be a pre-workout. Newcalm.com. And the promo code is Mike15. Newcalm.com, promo code Mike15 for an extra 15% off. Go today.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at the Mike Litton Experience.